electric and hybrid vehicle engineering, design and optimization or drivetrain. In this lesson, we will study about drivetrains and how the drivetrains are classified. So, what is drivetrain? See, the drivetrain of any vehicle is the group of components that delivers power to the driving wheels. It comprises of various components like U-joints, regarded as universal joints, half shaft for transferring the power, transmission, which includes various gears, gearbox, differentials, then flywheel or clutch depending upon the car model, and sometimes there's also a balancer placed for adjusting the universal joints assembly. See, some of you are very confused about the difference between drivetrain and powertrain. See, in this drivetrain, it includes all the components excluding engine and motor, whereas if you consider in powertrain, all the things are including, even engine, even transmission box, even the universal joint, even the motors. So powertrain, so we can say that drivetrain is a subset of the powertrain. The function of the drivetrain is to couple the engine that produces the power to the driving wheels that uses this mechanical power to rotate the axle. Therefore, it helps in moving the vehicle forward. If you come to this connection, it involves physically linking the two components which may be at the opposite ends of the vehicle, and therefore requiring a long propeller shaft or drive shaft, which is mainly comprising of universal joints at both the ends for constant power transmission. So now let us understand why we should know the difference in various vehicles drivetrain. Because see, you are considering a new vehicle, there are several things to take into consideration, and one of the most important is to find the right drivetrain for you according to your driving condition, as each drivetrain has its own advantages, disadvantages, and it's really important to understand each of this in order to make the right decision for you. There are 4 different types of drivetrain. First, front wheel drive, then rear wheel drive, 4-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. We'll discuss about them in deep. So taking first as front wheel drive, see, in this front wheel drive, here it means that the power from the engine is being delivered to the front wheels. Okay, so with front wheel drive, the front wheels are pulling the car and the rear wheels don't receive any power of their own. Let's see the working. See, it is our engine which is transferring our torque. Then comes our transaxle. It is known as transaxle because it is a combination of transmission and front axle. Therefore, it is transmitting its torque from engine to transaxle. Then it is giving the power or torque to the transfer case, where it is being distributed, and to the front drive axle. Here it is. Here differential is also connected to this, so that there is easy transmission of power between those two wheels. Now coming over to its advantages and disadvantages. First being it is having a compact and transverse engine, means the assembly is quite compact in front, therefore it gives you a large space at the rear of your vehicle. Then driving wheel has most of the weight concentration. It is a very good advantage to this vehicle or this type of drivetrain, because this drivetrain allows all the traction to the front wheels, therefore improving the force distribution. Then it is having less weight. It is due to the combination of drive shaft and rear axle, or you can say there is not a rear axle in this case because we are not transferring our torque to the rear axle here. Then thrust in desired direction. Due to its front wheel drive, all our power goes from front wheel, which is also connected to our steering wheel. Thus we can have our movement in our desired direction. Coming to disadvantages, there is a problem of torque steer. Therefore torque steer means that if you are moving a vehicle in higher acceleration, sometimes our vehicle tends to go in only one direction, as it is a front wheel drive with a combination of steering here, so it tends to go on one side, therefore disturbing the balance of your steering. Then uneven tire wear. It is the occurrence due to the torque steer only. Then there is a loss of grip under heavy acceleration, like if you are turning the vehicle and due to the misalignment or due to torque steer, our balance shift to one direction, it tends to lose grip and it tend to slip also. Now let us talk about rear wheel drive. Here in rear wheel drive, it means that the power from our engine is delivered to the rear wheels and the rear wheels push the car forward. It is kind of opposite from the front wheel drive, where our power is transmitted from the front wheels. In this case, the front wheels do not receive any power and therefore they are free to maneuver the vehicle from steering. See, let us see how the power transfer case work here. Our torque is transmitted from the engine to the transmission, which is connected to the clutch or sometimes to the torque converter, and here is the propeller shaft which transfers it to the which allows the power transmission from the engine. Generally it is made up of two U joints. As you can see in this figure, there are two yokes or two assemblies of yokes. Therefore it is connected to differential, which allows power distribution between the left wheels and right wheels in the case of turning. Therefore this power is distributed to the rear axle shaft. Now let us see its advantages and disadvantages. First, weight transfer. Due to the engine at front and the rear assembly of our transmission, that is differential and sometimes gearbox, it allows a very good weight transfer in the front direction and the rear direction. Weight distribution. In case of this weight distribution, we can say that we are accelerating from our rear wheels, therefore, and we are braking from our front wheels, so it allows a very good weight distribution, and this also includes less tire wear. Therefore having a good weight distribution is a very good option, and this is the main reason why most of the cars go for rear wheel drive these days. Then it splits the task of tires, that is, we are accelerating from the rear wheels and we are braking or steering from the front wheels. Now coming over to disadvantages. In the case of it give the case of oversteering. In this case, our car tends to steer more than it is required, therefore creating a big angle of steering. Let me show you the GIF for the better understanding of oversteer. Here, as you can see, the steering angle is increased. Then it is having an increased weight because sometimes there is whole assembly of engine, motor and transmission in the front, resulting in higher weight than our front wheel drive. And if you are considering it is a front engine rear wheel drive, it's a very big disadvantage, because if you are driving in snow or sand, it does not provide you enough traction to transfer the power to the sand or snow. Now let us move on to four-wheel drive. Here in this four-wheel drive means that the power from the engine is delivered to all four wheels. Therefore we can say that all of the four wheels are being engaged and they are having an option to operate in rear wheel drive also. It is due to the presence of transfer case. So as you can see, let's see the power transfer. Generally our setup for four-wheel drive is presented in front or somewhere in the mid. We have engine which transfer the torque to the clutch or sometimes the torque converter. Then there is our gearbox which multiplies the torque. Then the main component of a four-wheel drive, that is transfer case. See, it allows the transfer of torque, or you can say power, to the front and rear axle. It allows to provide desired torque. Like if you are needing a higher torque in front wheels, it allows to transfer high torque in front axle, and if you want a high torque in rear axle, it allows power transmission of higher torque in the rear. Therefore we are having differential at both the sides, that is front and rear axle, which distributes power evenly or according to the requirement to rear axle on the left hand side or the right hand side. Now coming over to its advantages and disadvantages. It provides a great off-road traction because we are driving all the four vehicles, or you can say we are providing different torques to front and rear. It allows a great option for off-roading conditions. That is why most of our SUVs are four-wheel drives. It transfers power to 4 tires rather than 2 tires. It is very advantageous in the condition like if you are stuck in mud from the rear wheel, and it is a rear wheel drive, so you can't come out of the mud with the help of rear wheel drive here. Therefore we are having the transmission of torque to the front wheels in this case. Therefore we can easily move out of the mud, providing an easier access to this off-roading condition. Disadvantages. See, in this case we are also having part-time four-wheel drive because of the transfer case that we have discussed before. It is having a disadvantage that it does not work on the slopey roads, because sometimes it just transfers power to the front wheel more because we are going up the slope, therefore providing less torque to the rear axle. And sometimes it provides different speeds to front and the rear tires, as there is no 50-50 distribution. Then it causes understeer, resulting in more tire wear. Let me explain the understeer with the help of GIF. As you can see in this GIF that we are not able to turn sharply. We have to cover a very long arc to cover the path, therefore resulting in wearing of tire from the outside. Now let us talk about all-wheel drive. So as you can see, here is a diagram of our all-wheel drive. Therefore we can say that it employs a front rear and a center differential to provide power to all four wheels of their vehicle. And as the name suggests, our all-wheel drive system powers both the front and rear wheels all the time. So sometimes it is also regarded as a full-time four-wheel drive. So let us see the difference between our four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. Most prominently, we are having our transfer case in rear drive shaft in the case of all-wheel drive here, as you can see in this figure. And like in four-wheel drive, our transfer case is responsible for giving high gear ratio or low gear ratio respectively to front or rear axle. It is not the same case in our all-wheel drive, because like if we want to have a higher gear ratio in our front wheel, it is directly giving most of the torque to our front wheel. Means in this case only two wheels are getting 90% of that power where it is being desired. Let's see how the power of transfer is being taken here. Our engine is generally present in our front direction, which transfers the torque to the front differential, which is distributing the power between left hand side and right hand side of the drive. Then it is connected to propeller shaft, which is generally connected by double U joints, and then it is connected by clutch or generally a torque converter for multiplying the torque. And then when we are coming to rear, we can see the transfer case being employed with a rear differential, which is responsible for transferring the power to front and rear, and the differential to the left side and the right side. Therefore, if we say in actual practice, we can say there are two types of drivetrains that are called all-wheel drive. In the first case, there are the drivetrain in which all the wheels drive continuously, and this is regarded as full-time all-wheel drive. But you can see in the second option we have a part-time all-wheel drive, or you can say automatic all-wheel drive. It is operated most of the time in two-wheel drive mode, with power being delivered to all four corners only when there is an additional traction control it is needed. It is all controlled electronically, that is transferring of power to our respective wheels. It is having no manual connection here. All is done with the help of ECU. Now coming over to its advantages, the biggest advantage of all-wheel drive system is they are having a superior traction. Then performance and handling, it provides one of the best performance among all types of drivetrains and better handling in case of all terrains, like if it is a snow terrain, sand terrain, or even highway. Good weight distribution, as you can see the parts are distributed all over the front and rear parts and even in the mid part. Coming to disadvantages, it is having low fuel efficiency. The main reason of its low fuel efficiency is that since power is being sent to all the four wheels or sometimes part of the front wheel or a rear wheel, so that is why in some cases there is being losses in every conversion we are having, which results in low fuel efficiency and low mileage. It is more costly to produce and manufacture because of the tough designs and extra parts we are having in all-wheel drive. It is more costly than other types of drivetrain. Therefore, that is all for today. Thanks for watching.